Hello, this is another Theorycraft Thursday with Sky, and I will be doing a Trap Ranger today. People have been asking for Rangers, but you have not specified what kind of Ranger, so I'm giving you a Trap Ranger. I hope you enjoy it. I'm running a short bow and dual axes. My utility skills are Healing Spring, Spike Trap, Flame Trap, Viper's Nest, and Tangle. Now, a lot of recent trap builds haven't been full trap. They've just been like, well, I'll throw a trap or two on there and then we'll get some buffs and it'll be like a normal build but with some traps. We're not doing that. We're going all traps because I like traps and I was a trapper in Guild Wars 1 and I got some fond ass memories of that. So that's what we're going to do. My pets are the Juvenile Alpine Wolf and the Juvenile Lashtail Devourer. The Devourer I kind of just use as like a range support. I don't actually use him as much as the Wolf because the Wolf has the passive knockdown, and that is important for keeping people in my traps and therefore taking fat trap deeps all over. Now, for traits, I have 30 in Skirmishing, taking Primal Reflexes, Trapper's Expertise, and Trap Potency, 30 in Wilderness Survival, taking Wilderness Knowledge, Hide in Plain Sight, and Empathic Bond, and 10 in Nature Magic, taking Nature's Protection, because protection's dope. So, the main force of this build is going to be kind of just damage constantly throughout a fight. People might not necessarily know to avoid it because it's just traps and they're popping up, and my cooldowns are actually not terribly long, so I'm pumping them out pretty frequently. And general point control, I can't really keep people off the point as well as like a Guardian or my Hammer Warrior build, but I can discourage people from staying on the point, and I can make people die on the point. So, yeah. Hope you guys like it. Let's go to the footage. So, greetings. Trap Ranger. Gonna trap things. Not too much action until I encounter a fight or a point, as I'm sure you can imagine. But here we have a ripe, juicy waterfall point, fresh for the taking, except there's these two scrubs who think they can stop me. So, I lead the way with my traps. I try to get all of my traps down before the actual fight ensues, if possible, and use the Axe 3 to chill them and slow them so that, they're kind of stuck in the midst of all my traps, just taking the huge deeps from it. And when I'm retreating, I throw them in front of me and then roll through them so that the people chasing me go through them. If I'm advancing, then I will sometimes throw them in front of me and then roll back. Kind of the same thing. People engage on me, they engage on my traps. You'll notice I use the short bow for close range fighting, because of how it functions. The fact that being at a certain, like, either behind or sideways or whatever affects what you do with your short bow. It's well suited to a short range battle, I believe. Short bow, short range, because what it does is it allows me to strafe very rapidly in circles around like my opponents while I'm up in their grill. So I'm kind of giving them this really quick, unavoidable bleed damage, or if I'm using my 5 skill, a nice stun from the back. If not, Daze is pretty good too. What you just saw there was before they broke down the gate. That's just simple stuff. I mean, preparatory, like they're coming through, alright, throw down some traps. I tend to stagger my traps. I put one and then the one, I try not to make too much overlap. There's a little bit of overlap, kind of like some Venn diagram kind of style stuff, so that as they trigger one, they can't really help but avoid triggering, they can't really help but triggering the second one. But it's not instantaneous. It's not like, whoa, I stepped on a circle, all these traps going off all at once. No, it's more of a subtle, oh man, I'm on a trap, oh this sucks, and they like stumble forward a tiny bit and then into another trap to get the maximum use out of each trap, so that they stay on one trap long enough to kind of take the brunt of the damage or the brunt of the cripple, whichever one I may be using, but they also continue hitting my other traps too, so that I keep nice chain of damage going. Now, big fights like this, I was actually surprised at how well this build did, considering all I did was throw down my healing spring, stand inside of it, and just like hurl traps everywhere. I tend to use the flame trap on downed players. Sometimes the Viper trap, usually the flame trap, to prevent downed players from getting back up if I can't give them my immediate attention. Like if I have someone downed but I'm being attacked by multiple people like I was in this situation a few frames ago, and I want to kill them, obviously. I don't want to just let them there and have their sweet old reviving way, but I can't really afford to go over and take like the 5-second or so time to stomp them. So I just toss a trap on there. It's really good for kind of insurance, even if you're going to go down in a fight, especially if you're going to go down in a fight, actually. If, like, someone else is down or very close to being down and you toss a trap before you die, that can really make a difference in your being able to get back up, because they're stuck in just these pulses of crappy events. Because, you know, this is a condition damage build, as I showed off in the beginning. And that's good stuff. Another nifty thing about the traps, I'm not actually sure about the Viper trap, but I do know that the Flame trap is a fire field, and the Healing Spring is a light field. So those actually combo very well with the dual axes, because, well, axe offhand in general, I guess, but it combos very well with the last axe skill, the 5 skill, which is Whirling Defense, because if you stand in the fire one, you'll be flinging burning bullets around. Burning bolts, not bullets, I guess. Axes that shoot bullets. It's a terrifying thought. But you'll be using burning bolts or cleansing bolts. Cleansing bolts, of course, removing conditions from your teammates. Burning bolts, of course, setting shit on fire. Now, that's good, and that's actually the best use I've gotten out of Whirling Defense so far, has been using it in conjunction with my traps for AoE effects, because it doesn't seem to mitigate as much damage as I would anticipate, and it also lasts for a very long time, and you're stationary. So it's kind of very situational. I feel like you have to use it in very, like, you know, suitable situations, because otherwise, like right here, like, I'm just standing still getting ground pounded and I can't do too much about it. So you really got to make sure that it's like the best time to be using it. Again, in a combo field, I mean, if not yours, of a teammate's or whatever, it's just good. And its damage is very good too. It's just, you know, you have to put yourself in melee range, and I prefer to have a little bit of space, but whatever. So here is kind of what I said. I lead with my traps. As I'm running, I throw them down in front of me so that people chasing me kind of can't really avoid them. If you're tunnel visioning someone, like these people are tunnel visioning me, you're not going to not hit my traps, because you're probably not even focusing on my throwing them down. I mean, if this was a tournament or something, a higher level tournament, people would probably recognize the animation, but of course this is just a hot join, so people aren't really paying attention to, like, the nuances like that, and I can kind of get away with just tossing traps all day, and people are like, whoa, where's the trap going? Or, whoa, I didn't know there was a trap there. You know, all sorts of cool stuff. And as you can see, I can kind of take on multiple people very effectively if I do it well. I mean, this kind of goes for everyone. If you do something well, you do it well. But I feel like this build, you really kind of have to execute in a very specific way for it to be effective. Now, I'm not saying this is like MLG Pro build and you're going to go out and win all the glory with it, but it's very effective, considering it's something I kind of just tossed together, that I had lying around in my brain for a while. I mean, I'm not the first person to throw together a Trap Ranger, but, you know, I liked trapping in Guild Wars 1 when I used it for farming in the Underworld, and I was like, oh, hey, maybe trapping will be super neat in this. And it is neat, but there are differences. Like, you can't stack multiple traps on top of each other of the same type. So, like, I can put my spike trap, my flame trap, and my viper trap on top of each other just fine. But I can't put, like, 2 spike traps on top of each other, or, like, 2 flame traps on top of each other. It'll just trigger one and put down the other one. So you can't, like, stack multiple traps of the same kind on each other. Whereas in Guild Wars 1, that's kind of like what you did. You plonked down a billion little traps, and things walked on them, and you ruined their whole day, and it was glorious. But, yeah, sorry, that was kind of a quick one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it anyways, and leave a rating, like, subscribe, and see you next week.